So for ruler lesson 13, we used ruler skills to examine shifting values. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, what is a value? Okay, now according to the dictionary, there are 5 different definitions of values, and this is not math class, and I think you know the other ones. We're going to be focusing on number 2 right here. A person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. Okay, so this is a big decision. The values that you choose will dictate your life. Pretty heavy stuff. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do right out of the gates is just jot down what values are most important to you. So at first, just let it rip. A stream of consciousness, your English teacher might call it. And you just, whatever comes to mind, just write it down. So here's an example, this visual here. Here's a person with about 20 different values that they wrote out. And once you've exhausted all of your ideas, you've written down, a bunch of values, here's the hard part. I want you to choose your top 3 that are most important to your life. Difficult decision for any age, okay? So pick your top 3 values. Then I'm going to ask you to write your top 3 on a 3x5 card and walk around the room where people can see what your values are and share with the people around you what your top 3 values are and what they mean to you, and talk to them and ask them about their top 3 values. So I'm going to give you a personal example. I normally don't do this, but just to steer you in the right direction. If I was doing this drill, if I was on your side of the desk, my big 3 would be family, critical thinking, and being authentic. Now, yours can be any 3. Don't steal mine unless you agree with me, which I don't know if I get 3 for 3 for anybody. I wouldn't think so. So the first one being family, that is most important to me. So I'm going to live my life for my family, and the decisions I make are going to be for the betterment of my family. Now, critical thinking, that is, I really love when people think for themselves and debating and discussing. Now, my love of critical thinking resulted in my job of being a social studies teacher. And I hope I do that with my students, get them to thinking. And then being authentic, being your true self, not putting on an act, being your true self. Okay, so the reason I shared that with you, because I'm old and you're young. So let's see what values translate to in real life. Okay, so I told you family. Here is my family. Whatever I do, it's for their betterment. If I'm feeling a little down or a little unmotivated, I will pick myself up to do well by my family. Critical thinking. I love debating and I love the social sciences. And here's me in my teacher suit looking at geography or looking at some social science thing. My love of my value, or my value, resulted in my job, as it will with you. And then at the bottom, what I really loved to do when I was younger for years and years is play a sport called rugby. And a lot of people told me, don't do it. But my authentic self, I wanted to be a rugby player. And nowadays, I'm a fisherman because you don't get your head kicked in. And still some people say, really? That's what you want to do with your time? Isn't it boring? Absolutely, because it's my authentic self. Okay? Now, what the hope is, when you really focus on your values, it produces your best self, the optimal version of yourself, you at your best. Okay, so I'm going to read this quote on the right-hand side. Personal values influence who your best self is and the decisions that you make. And I know you're young, but the decisions you make based on values will result in your future in terms of your direction, in terms of occupation, and what you do with your time, and all those sorts of things. Okay? Now, here's another point I need to make. Values change with time, and the search for your best self is an ongoing process. If you at your age don't feel like you're your best self, that's totally okay. You're young. Doesn't mean you can't get to that best self. And values can change throughout time. Now, I don't know if you remember this or not, but last year you looked at your values as part of your 7th grade ruler lessons. I don't expect you to remember what you wrote, but I do want you to reflect and ask yourself, have your values changed at all during your middle school years? Do you see your values changing, if at all, as you get older? And here's the good news, there's no right or wrong answers here because it's you, okay? Just answer honestly. And this bottom bullet point, if a value ceases to give you benefit, you can adopt different values that improve your life. Meaning if one value is not resulting in happiness and success and positivity, nothing is stopping you from changing that now or whenever you feel that it's best for your life. And I have another quote in red here, and it reads, Values are the foundation of how you live your life, how you do your work, and how you interact with those around you. They're the lenses through which you view everything around you. As such, they serve as the frame of reference for everything you see and do. Pretty important stuff. Okay, so once we're done with all that, I'm going to ask you to complete journal entry number 3, and we're going to go through the ruler analysis for this. And the questions are, how do you feel about the changes you've noticed in yourself throughout middle school, if at all? There may be changes, there may not be. The you, the understanding. Why do you think you feel these changes have taken place? Okay. The L, which feeling word or words best capture how you feel this particular school year? E, how has your emotion expression shifted over your middle school years? And then R, how has the way you regulate your emotions changed since your younger years, if at all? Okay, so hopefully you learned a little bit about yourself. And even though, again, I'm going to repeat one last point, even though you are young, the values you choose will dictate your entire life. Take it from an old guy. It's the truth, and these are facts. So, okay, so thank you for watching.